In 2021, a massive vaccine order was meant to save lives. 2 years later, it nearly sank a company.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight, a decision made to save lives in 2021 that ended with one of Malaysia's largest listed companies pushed into financial distress. We go now to our team, starting with the deal itself.
In January 2021, Pharmaniaga signed on to supply 20 million doses of the Sinovac vaccine, combining imports with local packaging here in Malaysia. But local production fell behind schedule, and to avoid a shortage, the government paid up to 18% more import doses directly, accepting the extra cost to keep the vaccination rollout on schedule. And it worked. Malaysia's rollout moved fast, but the doses kept arriving even as demand for them began to fall.
By 2022, Malaysia had moved into an endemic phase and booster demand collapsed. Pharmaniaga was left holding vaccine stock nobody needed anymore. In February 2023, the company announced a write-off of 552 million ringgit. It is the largest quarterly loss ever. Shares fell 50% in a single day, and Pharmaniaga was formally classified as a financially distressed company. It took until this year for the company to fully recover.
This loss wasn't only a shareholder problem. Pharmaniaga's biggest owners include Armed Forces Fund Board, the pension fund for military veterans. When the company's value collapsed, that loss reached retirement savings that ordinary pensioners never choose to risk. They weren't in the room when the decision was made, but they carried part of the cost. That's why this case matters beyond one company's balance sheet. It is about the pace when a crisis decision doesn't go as planned.
So who's actually responsible? The Health Ministry made the call. Pharmaniaga's management carried it out, and pensioners and taxpayers ended up covering the loss. And the real uncertainty in 2021, over-ordering vaccines was a reasonable bet to save lives. What ethicists call utilitarian reasoning. The losses that followed are what philosophers call moral luck, an outcome nobody could control, shaping how harshly we judge a decision in hindsight. The real failure was afterward, in forecasting, in disclosure, and in relying on a single supplier for the country's entire vaccine and medicine pipeline. So what should change?
But there's one more wrinkle. Pharmaniaga's government concession is granted by the same government that through the Armed Forces Fund Board also owns a big stake in the company, which raises a real question about how closely it was actually being held to account. Going forward, experts recommend spreading contracts across multiple demand scenarios, sharing financial risk with suppliers instead of dumping it on one company, and moving away from single supplier concessions altogether.
The decision that was made defensible in the moment it was made, but its aftermath, weak forecasting, late disclosure, one company holding the entire supply chain, is the real reason here for the next crisis, whatever it turns out to be. That's tonight's report. Good night.
A decision can be right in the moment it is made and still demand accountability for everything that follows.